ISIS, what would you be doing right now if you were in the Oval Office? We're at the 1-year mark of sort of this campaign to destroy ISIS. We're not there, obviously. What do you think needs to be done differently?
I would hold a Camp David summit immediately and ask all of our Sunni Arab allies as well as the Kurds to attend. Why? Because every single one of them are fighting ISIS on the ground as we speak.
President Obama just did this 6 months ago.
No, but he was trying to talk them into an Iran deal, which is a bad deal, and they didn't want any parts of it, and they were right because Obama and Kerry got rolled at the negotiating table.
I'll get to Iran now. Let's go back to ISIS.
So I would bring them in because each one of our allies has been asking us for something specific. King Abdullah of Jordan, a man I've known for a very long time, has been asking us to provide him with bombs and material to help him in his fight against ISIS. We haven't provided them, so he's gone to the Chinese. I will. The Egyptians have asked us to share intelligence. We won't. I would. The Kurds have been asking us to arm them for 3 years. We haven't. I will. The point is the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Kurds, the Jordanians, the Kuwaitis, they know this is an existential struggle for them. They know ISIS is their fight. They are prepared to fight it, but only if they sense leadership, resolve, and support from us. I will provide that leadership and support.
Does that also mean you will be putting more ground troops in?
Well, you know, Obama's always giving us this false choice, which is if you don't agree with what I'm doing or not doing, the only option is thousands of ground troops. Thousands of ground troops are not necessary at this point. What is necessary is more effective training. For heaven's sakes, we train people and we get 61 in a year.
We've been training the Iraqi army for 15 years.
That's right, and it hasn't worked. So
why will this be better?
Why don't we arm the Kurds, who've been asking us to do so for 3 years? What is this fiction that we have to go through a central Baghdad government? There is no central Baghdad government anymore. The Kurds are the most effective fighting force on the ground. They've been asking for arms. Let's arm them.
When you arm the Kurds, then suddenly the Turks don't want to help.
Well, you know, there has been a growing agreement between Turkey, the United States, and the Kurds. I think that agreement is worth building on. It is why you have to have a Camp David summit to pull these people together. But make no mistake, everyone in that region understands ISIS is their fight. It is an existential fight. And while we, of course, pay attention to the horrors that ISIS is perpetrating on the ground, the truth is more Muslims, Sunni Muslims, have been murdered by ISIS than anyone else.
So let me just clear something. Do you think the United States needs to send more troops?
Not yet. Because not yet.
You want to see what would happen
Special
if we
forces,
did more,
perhaps, yes.
We did more training, so you would, is this a 6-month
Not more
program,
training.
another year?
You're not hearing me. Our Sunni Arab allies and the Kurds have fighting forces on the ground. They've asked us for very specific things. We have not provided them. King Abdullah of Jordan has been bombing ISIS for 18 months now. He has asked us for bombs and material for his troops. We are not providing them. So he is going to the Chinese. How self-defeating is that? The Egyptians, who are fighting ISIS as we speak, remember when President al-Sisi starts bombing, when ISIS beheads 21 Coptic Christians on the Egyptian beaches? Not only that, he goes into Cairo, he addresses the imams, he tells them there's a cancer in the heart of Islam. That is clearly the truth. He's been asking us for support. He's been asking us to share intelligence. We're not. I will. There are many things we have been asked to do by our allies in this region, and we are not.
There's a whole bunch of things you can do before.
That's right.
The last resort of saying,
that's right.
What? We got to do a search.
And we haven't tried any of them. We haven't tried any of them. That's what I mean when I say Obama provides a false choice always. Don't, agree with me in Iran, in ISIS, or rush off to war. It's a false choice.
Let's move to Iran. You said something interesting. You said the world's moved on. You're very critical of the deal. I read that as saying you assume you can't really scrap the deal if you get in office.
Oh, I actually think something different. What I was trying to say is this. Even if Congress votes this deal down, and I sincerely hope they will, the rest of the world has moved on in terms of the money flow. China and Russia have never been negotiating on our side of the table. They've been negotiating on their side of the table. They have wanted for a very long time to open the Iranian economy. They're in there. So are the Europeans. So we must cut off the money flow. I would make 2 phone calls on day one in the Oval Office. The first would be to my good friend Bibi Netanyahu to reassure him we will stand with the state of Israel. The second will be to the Supreme Leader of Iran. He might not take the phone call, but the message will be clear. New deal. I don't care what your deal was. Here's the new deal. Until you open...
This is an international agreement.
I don't care, frankly, Chuck, because the international agreement that was negotiated was not in our interests. So the new deal will be this. the United States of America will make it as difficult as possible for you to move money around the global financial system unless and until you open every military and every nuclear facility to real, anytime, anywhere inspections. We can do that. The United States of America needs no one's permission.
The Iranians may sit there and say, well, the rest of the world's doing business with us.
But if we make it very difficult for them to move money by saying, for example, to every bank, if you do business in Iran or with the Iranians, you won't do business in the U.S. That'll have an impact. We can continue to cut their access off to the SWIFT global payment system. We need to do that. This is a terrible deal. Iran will use the money to fund their proxies, to sow conflict in the Middle East, which has been their 30-year strategic goal, and they will move forward towards a nuclear weapon.
Could you ever have come to a deal, no matter how tough the deal you could have negotiated? Was there any part of the deal that wasn't going to give money to the Iranians?
Yes, but we didn't get anything in return. You know, President Obama says, what's the alternative? The alternative is a better deal. He broke every rule of negotiation. I never negotiated a nuclear deal, but I negotiated a lot of really big deals. And there's some cardinal rules. Number one, know what your goals are and stick to them. President Obama laid out a set of goals and rolled on every one. Number two, walk away from the table. Because if you don't walk away, no one will believe you're serious. We never walked away. We just talked and talked and talked.
At least once.
My rule is three times. My rule is 3 times. So you don't have a deal. And rule number 3, never celebrate a deal until you have the deal you want. When President Obama walks into the Rose Garden celebrating a deal before it's a deal, what do the Iranians say? We got him. He's publicly committed, and we're now going to spend the next 4 months negotiating a better deal for us. That's precisely what they did.